It is time for Around the 412 with Smitty and Tyler.
Welcome back to another episode of Around the 412. I am Tyler. With me, as always, is my co-host, Smitty. Go follow us on all of our social medias at Around the 412 and watch the show over on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Or if you're a Steelers fan, when we go live on Saturdays for Steelers Saturday Sit Down, where we preview the upcoming matchup on the next day for the Steelers. Also, follow us everywhere you listen to the podcast as well, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast, we are there. Leave a 5-star review, helps us out a lot. And then if you want for a future episode on Spotify, I know you can leave a comment, ask a question. Do that in the YouTube comments as well. If you have questions you want us to answer on a future episode, go ahead and check it out there. While you're down there, go check out the description of the show, though, where you got all the links to our great sponsors. You also got year 8 of Rock Around the 412. It's our Christmas fundraiser we've been doing for the past 8 years, been able to provide children in the local Pittsburgh area the Christmas that they have always deserved. That Smitty and I never had to worry about where it was coming from growing up. So we've been able to give back the last several years with the help of everybody that is able to donate or partners with the East Rochester Salvation Army. We can adopt kids off of their angel tree in the name of our late friend Dalton Keene. So there's several ways to get involved. We got the GoFundMe link down below. You can also donate to Smitty or I directly. So 100% of your money is going to these kids this time of year, where you can do the angel tree tags with the East Rochester Salvation Army. Several ways to get involved this time of year. If you want to get involved, there's only about a month left. I believe as of this coming out, there's going to be a month until the cutoff for Rocking Around the 412 year 8. So it's crunch time. It's crazy. We start this thing in July. It's already going to be less than a month next week when we kick it off. So get involved while you can, able to help a good cause and help a lot of children this time of year.
Yep, always excited about it. Always excited to do it. I just went shopping went shopping online for the first family that we got locally this past weekend. So happy to have at least one, and then obviously all the tags that we do. If you are a family in need, still time to reach out. We're getting close, but definitely still time to reach out. We'll see what we can do for you. So hit us up, Tyler or me or us at Around the 412. Doesn't matter how you do it. Tyler, the Penguins have played 3 games and they're going to play for a while. This almost feels like a Olympic break or all-star break or whatever. Penguins traveling to Sweden for a couple games with the Predators, but this time off just feels so weird. But they have played a few games since we last spoke. Initial takeaway is please stop going to shootouts. Don't know that they're ever going to win another one. Not only just not win one, I'm not sure if Artur Shilovs will ever stop a puck in a shootout again, to be quite honest with you. But I feel like largely still playing pretty good hockey. They bounced back in a way that we were hoping from the last time that we talked, with a win over the Capitals. They lose in a shootout. Very good game against the Devils on Saturday afternoon, which kind of felt criminal that ended in a shootout. And then they lose 3-2 to the Kings, which your takeaway from that one was please stop playing the Kings in Pittsburgh. But yeah, initial thought, please stop going to shootouts. We're never going to win them. Not only is the goaltender not very good in them, Artur Shilovs, as we are finding out, just a lack of creativity from the shooters that I feel like we've been talking about for several seasons in a row now. I don't know what it is. Penguins just aren't very good in shootouts, but I feel like largely played some good hockey in the last 3 games, despite the fact they only walked away with 3 points.
Yeah, you got the half of the available points, which I feel like is, good for losing 2 of the 3 games, but also you feel like there was a little bit left on the bone there, especially the game that went to the shootout against the Devils. I thought that largely that was one of their best, most complete games of the season from the team in and of itself. But when you get to the shootout with this team, and we've seen it in years past, at least from the shooters themselves, I don't know what it is about the shootout, whether the likes of Letang and Crosby and Malkin, if they just don't care by the time you get to a shootout and they want the game to be over because they just don't really care for giving effort in the shootout, or they don't like the process of it. But it almost seems like they just do the same exact moves, which is almost non-existent moves. They basically just skate down and take a wrist shot at the net. But I just think the Penguins don't really care. At least that's unless they tell me otherwise. And even if they tell me something different, I'm not going to believe them, because what I'm seeing with my eyes is that they do not give a rat's ass once it goes to a shootout. And
imagine they missed the playoffs by like a point.
That's probably the most frustrating part. Like thinking about a few years ago, whenever we lost to the Blackhawks, and all we had to do was like win a game. Like think about how many shootouts that you could have won if your skaters were actually giving an effort in them. But who's not? And I don't know if it's a lack of effort. I don't know if it's just a lack of skill in these things. Artis Shilov should never, and I mean never, see the ice again when it comes to a shootout. I don't care if he was a starting goalie and just played the last 65 minutes on the ice. Put whoever's in the backup. Most of the time it's Jari. In this case, it would have been Murashov. Put them in the net because you are allowed to do that. This dude stinks in the shootout, which is sad because I feel like in every other facet, he's been very good this season. I have really enjoyed the upgrade that Arthur Shilovs has brought to the netminder position. But man, when they go to a shootout, he is a rough watch. Stopping 1 out of 9 goals, awful, terrible. I mean, this dude is off. If they go to a shootout and he's the netminder, you might as well just chalk it up as a loss because not only is your shooters not giving a damn about what's going in on the other end, you're not going to stop a freaking thing with Artur Shilovs in net. And it's sad to say because I feel like largely he's been a very good goaltender this year, but the shootout is possible to win.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with it. I mean, it's a one-on-one, and with how creative we've seen shooters be that aren't on the Penguins, I get it's a very tall task, but yeah, I think he literally has 1 stop this year in shootouts. I can remember 1. So not good.
And was it a stop or did you just miss the net?
It's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. All right, but over the course of this 3 games here, I guess we can talk about what we've seen. Multi-goal game from Sidney Crosby against the Capitals. Ho-hum. The guys that I really want to talk about, though, other than the obvious that we always talk about in Sidney Crosby, Gino's still playing really well. I feel like Brian Rush, since he got rolling, has been able to continue to do so after a slow start. Anthony Mantha, who is a guy that I said coming into the season, I hope plays well enough where he can be a trade deadline piece for them to move for a draft pick. Of course, if the Penguins continue to play this way, that's not going to happen. 13 points in 17 games, 4th on the team right now in points. I'd say he's not only playing at the expectation that I thought, but he's exceeding expectations playing on that second line with Gino right now. He looks good, looks healthy. I don't know if he's back to like peak form, but he's still showing that he can play at a really high level. I mean, he's 31. It's not like he's not Sid or Gino's age yet. So, but the injuries that he's endured, missing basically an entire season, there was certainly some question about how he was going to bounce back. I've been impressed from what I've seen from Anthony Mantha.
Yeah, I think that he's been really good. He's been one of their best forwards. If you're crediting Kyle Dubas for some of the way that he's constructed this team, making a move to get Anthony Mantha, I thought has turned out to be a really good one. 13 points in 17 games so far. He's looked really good on the wing of Malkin. He's got a 1.03 expected goals per 60, which is one of the highest on the team. I mean, he's playing at a high level, and I think there was a question about what he was going to look like post injury and seeing if the legs are still going to be there. And I think that he's looked good. I largely think he's bought into I mean, when him and Brazeau were both on the ice, I feel like they largely bought into like the power forward-ish type of role, playing with Gino. And I think that Mantha also benefits from having Gino kind of be that quarterback of that line. And everybody knows that if you're on a line with Gino, he wants the puck on his stick, and you just kind of have to play around him. I think that Mantha has caught on to that, and he's played very well. And so all credit to Kyle Dubas on this one. I thought that not necessarily that he was going to be a acquisition where he expected them to be a contributor as far as making like a playoff run or anything, although that could be where this is turning into, but probably someone that he thought he might be able to flip like a Anthony Beauvillier at the deadline and get maybe a 2nd round pick for him. I mean, we might be talking about where the Penguins play themselves into a position where Mantha might be one of those key pieces that you're sticking around to. They may not end up being buyers, but they might stay pat and not try to add by selling away these pieces when we get close to the deadline. I mean, that's several months away still, but he's played very, very well and has definitely exceeded my expectations for what I thought he was going to be.
And if, we get to the end of the year and Gino is going to come back, I'd sign up for another year if you could get him to just sign another 1 year. Although Mantha may be looking for more than 1 year at that point.
Yep.
I'm not
Especially
sure.
if he has a good year.
Yeah. Well, so that's a different conversation to have. Obviously, we'll see how the rest of the year goes and how different the conversation could be by the time that we get there. But yeah, largely impressed by what he's done, especially on the power play. This is a team right now that I don't know coming into the season we thought was going to be very good on the power play. Tyler, do you know what they are on the power play right now?
If I had to guess, I'd say first.
They are first in the NHL with a 35.7 power play percentage right now. It's not necessarily the players aren't different. The movement of the puck, there's always action going on. Like
the passing lanes are opening up. They don't sit with the puck.
Yeah.
How many times did we see in the past where one guy would just be looking for a pass, kind of like sitting with the puck? They're not actually like moving their legs enough. And that's where I think that the biggest difference is you see the rotations that they're having on the power play. No guy is really standing still unless they're in the front of the net. And a lot of the time, like that guy gets the crap beat out of them, but they're able to get to that dirty area and make some havoc in front of the net. This power play has been night and day different than what we've seen really since Phil Kessel left. I know it's a cliche to say that, like, that's to point to that as being the difference maker, but it really was. The power play fell off a cliff as soon as Phil Kessel was gone. And you're seeing a resurgence from it that we have not seen in the past 5 years. They've been very good and honestly very entertaining to watch on the power play, which is something that we never saw the past several seasons under Mike Sullivan. It was almost like they were just kind of going through the motions on a power play, whereas now it seems like they are driving play and are rotating like a bunch of sharks circling their prey, and their passes are so fluid. They're making a ton of them. They're not necessarily looking for the perfect pass like it seemed like in the past, or the perfect shot either. The power play is clicking on all cylinders, and I got to credit Dan Muse and the coaching staff for that. Like you said, it's not necessarily different personnel. Like, yeah, Ben Kindle's on there right now, and I think that, and I mentioned this last week, I think that there's an argument for him to stay on it because of how good it's been with him there too. But you look at the personnel being mostly the same, you got to credit the coaching staff. Something they got something to click with these players to have them play differently on special teams, and it's paying dividends already. Number one on the power play. I mean, they were pretty good last year. You saw an uptick from where we had seen the previous years, like bottom of the league. I think they finished around like 10th or so last season. But this season being first in the league, 35.7%, it's almost like every time I'm expecting them to score a power play goal every single game at this point.
Yeah, I was hoping you would just say the percentage and then I could keep talking there, but you basically said everything that I was going to anyway. So yeah, great monologue by you. No, I was just everything is intentional. I think that they're not relying on the talent. There's actually just a plan of attack for what they want to do. Which obviously you have to have the talent to do, but they're just aggressive. Everything is with intent, and they're not looking for that perfect play, but they're finding it every single time. So yeah, 35.7% right now on the power play. And I think even the second unit has looked very good. And there's another name that I want to bring up that's playing on that when we come back. But first, got to tell you about our friends at Game Changers. What's going on, everybody? Smitty from Around the 412 here. Got to take a quick second to tell you about our friends at Game Changers. That's their logo. This is one of their shirts. Best vintage t-shirts in the game. Doesn't matter if it's sports, music, movies. They got you covered with their designs. Over 5,000 different designs in that catalog over there. GameChanger.la or Pick6.la. You'll save yourself $10 when you use the code AT412 on your order. The link is below to both of those sites. Go check out their entire catalog. Again, 5,000 different designs. If you go with the black or the white, it'll be true to size. If you go with the pepper, which I'm wearing right now, or the ivory, they'll be a bit oversized. It's a heavyweight material. Beautiful stuff. Go check them out. And again, save yourself $10 using code AT412 at checkout. When Ricard Raquel went down, we were curious about who would step into that role. And then Justin Brazeau goes down. And a lot of people not necessarily talk about how they're now missing 2 of their top 6 forwards and how they're still being able to wade through that and still get pretty good results in the process. Tommy Novak has stepped into that role on the second line, playing with Mantha and Gino, also getting some power play time. And this is a guy that looked non-existent at the beginning of the year, I was like, this is probably one of the first guys to go. When we do see maybe them want to call up Tristan Brose and Avery Hayes, whoever it might be. But Novak has looked really good. I thought like over the last few games looks noticeable. Better puck handler than I think I realized when we first got him. Looks like he can do some things in terms of that. He's a creative guy. Really good hockey sense. I think he can make some plays on the boards. Also, like Gino, a guy that likes to have the puck on his stick. So that'll be interesting if that is a combination that we see going forward, how that gets divvied up. But I mean, I think that Gino's going to take precedent there. But yeah, he's another guy that I think has kind of flashed to me over the course of the last few games.
Yeah, he's definitely looked better than he did on the Kindle line. And that's nothing to go against what Kindle was doing. We were saying the entire time that Kindle was playing well and his line mates were letting him down in that sense. And I thought that he's been more noticeable in these games. Speaking of Tommy Novak, I think he's looked good on that second line with Malkin and Mantha. He doesn't look out of place. He's not noticeably bad with those two. And I think that on the second power play as well, he's been more noticeable, likes to drive play, like you're saying, where he likes the puck on his stick. So when it comes to Gino, yeah, Gino gets the precedent there. But I think as far as a winger goes, I mean, replacing Brazeau and what he was doing, now he hasn't lit up the lamp as much as Brazeau has, and I mean, maybe down the stretch he will. But I think that he has looked a lot better than he did so far in the early parts of the season, where we were complaining about how Kindle's line mates, they weren't doing anything. It was like he was playing with a bunch of traffic cones with Novak and who was the other one he was playing with a lot? Tomasino, or was it Koivunen? Koivunen now, but is now
Koivunen
that
got
third
sent
line.
down, so yeah.
But it was
Saw
Novak and
Tomasino.
Tomasino.
We saw Hollander there as well.
Hollander,
at one point. I mean,
there just wasn't a lot going on that third line. But yeah, he's been noticeable. He's been good. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and I was thinking, even outside of just the 5v5 line he's playing on, I think he could be a guy as like a primary puck handler on that second power play unit. And kind of he's probably the best puck handler on that second power play unit. But yeah, we'll see obviously if those results continue. I'm not necessarily saying from like I mean, he has looked good even in his offensive zone too, but honestly, the way he's killing penalties, playing in the bottom six role, Connor Dewar as well, who I know we talked about a little bit last week, but another guy that I thought has had a really nice stretch here where he looks like he belongs at the NHL level. Another guy that I thought maybe fringe guy, probably one of the first names I would think about if somebody's going to lose their job when Rutger gets healthy and when they want to bring some guys up from the A. But I think he's more than holding up his end of the bargain in terms of holding those guys off, not only with what he does at 5v5, but I think there's the argument there he's been their best penalty killer.
I agree with you. I think that he's definitely earned his spot so far this season on that fourth line. I think that he's performed very, very well in his own end. Defensively, been very good. And like you're saying, on the penalty kill, he is like one of the leading guys on that top 10 penalty kill right now, number 7 in the league, 86.4% in the league as far as the penalty kill goes. So yeah, I mean, he's also been a pleasant surprise so far this season as far as a defensive addition to those forwards, and that he's someone that I think benefits from having the whatever Dan Muse's philosophy is right now, as opposed to what Mike Sullivan was doing the last several years as the head coach. I just think that he probably fits his mold better as far as a player and being responsible in his own end, not necessarily needing to have that scoring touch, although we have seen some goals from him at times. He did score in this last week against Washington. But I think the main thing when you look at a guy like him is that he's been so good defensively in his own end, and his defensive numbers are good, that's where he has earned his spot on this roster.
And I know that we brought it up already, but I really felt like made some plays in the neutral zone that were just eye-popping that I feel like we haven't seen in the past. And then you hear his comments post-game. I think it was after the Washington game. How about Erik Karlsson, who I feel like, he only has 1 goal this year and 12 points in 17 games. It's pretty good for a defenseman, but like that's Erik Karlsson offensive-ish numbers. It's not anything out of the ordinary. What I think is out of the ordinary is the level that he's defending at this year. I mean, he's playing on the penalty kill. In what other universe has Erik Karlsson played on the penalty kill? And he's playing it pretty well, I feel like. He gets the puck out of his own zone. He's clearing pucks. He's getting stick on pucks. He's defending in front of his own net pretty well. I think he's still not like a great transition defenseman in terms of when he's backing up in his own zone. And he's never going to be the most physical guy on the boards. But I feel like it's just a different Erik Karlsson this year. And I don't know that it's his comments very pointed. I feel like at the last coaching staff, I don't want to say that is everything, because it's not like Karlsson before Pittsburgh was some great defender either. So it's less about Sullivan and that coaching staff to me and putting them down as it is about propping up what Dan Muse is doing, because clearly, at least in this system, Karlsson is a competent defender.
He is, and he's been a rejuvenated player as well. And it is looking at the quote like directly, it is tough to not immediately think that he's just talking about Mike Sullivan and the previous coaching staff when he says, quote, "You do the things you're good at and not the things that someone tells you to do that you can't do." Someone would just directly look at that and assume that Mike Sullivan was having him do something that he didn't want to do. And I don't necessarily think that was the case, because I feel like over the last 2 years that he's been with the Penguins under Mike Sullivan, you would have seen a more unhappy Erik Karlsson, maybe more vocal about that. And as we've seen some players before, I just don't think that that was the case. But I think that you are right in that whatever Dan Muse's system is, and Dan Muse's philosophy that he is using these players for, they're buying into it. And I talked about it with the power play, but even with some of the players like like Erik Karlsson too, like he's buying into what Dan Muse and his coaching staff are selling, and he's playing some of the best hockey of his career. He's not having necessarily the 100-point season as far as the scoring total goes, but you're actually getting a defenseman out of Erik Karlsson, which for the longest time of his career, hard to say that was something that you've seen consistently, is actually some decent defensive play from him. He's turned that around. And I think that that's something that, again, is huge part of the difference from what you're seeing from a year-to-year basis for the Penguins. And when you compare it directly from last year to this year, you see how much better they can be in their own end. And then as far as individual players goes, you're seeing that development go. I mean, Tanger had a rough start to the season, but I think that he started to come into his own in his own end as well. I thought that we've talked about Parker Wotherspoon, what kind of defenseman that
I think he's their best defense. Yeah, I think he's their best defenseman.
He's been very, very good. Ryan Shea's been fine at times. Like, I think that he's been better than expectations at times. And then, like, I know it's a very, very small sample size, but like even these last 2 games with Ryan Graves, nothing really to complain about on that end from my end. And he actually scored the lone goal in that New Jersey game, which obviously was a shock to see. But this Penguins team is better in their own end.
By the way. Over half a game.
Over half a game. Yeah, you're right.
He might
over
do
half
the 5,
a game, over
well
over half a goal as well. Not that we brought that up, but assuming that he was not even going to play a game this season, that was poor on my fault. And he shuts me up right away, scoring a goal in game 1 of the season. So, overall, the system that Dan Muse and his coaching staff has instilled, they've been better defensively. And like we were saying, well, not necessarily as far as like the win totals go this past week in these 3 games, not the effort that you want to get, only getting the 3 points, but what you're actually seeing in those games. Like that New Jersey game, like I said, even though it was a loss, that was one of the best efforts, I think, from start to finish that you've seen from the Penguins so far this season, and they lose in a shootout. I thought for the majority of the Kings game, it was a similar story where I thought that they were playing really well for a lot of it. They just kind of tailed off at the end of the game, and it just ended poorly. But that Capitals game, I thought the same thing. I thought that was really good for majority of that game. Obviously they have a 3-0 comeback again. It just ends in our favor better this time.
Yeah. What a pass from Gino to Russ, by the way.
Yeah.
On the 4th
100%. But yeah, this team, they're fun to watch. And I think that part of the reason they're fun to watch is that because they're being more responsible with the puck, which in and of itself is more entertaining to watch than what we saw in recent years with the Penguins. Having a more sound game of hockey is better to watch than the freestyling, sporadic, whatever you want to call, whatever adjective you want to use for what the Penguins were the last couple of seasons. I've enjoyed watching what Dan Muse has changed this Penguins team into. And then when you pair it with the above average goaltending that you've been getting so far this season with Shilov, Jari, and I think that we haven't even brought that up. Murashov, I thought that he looked pretty good. Oh,
Yeah. I was going to play an ad and then talk about it. But,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. We'll get into it.
I was going to say, do you feel like the play of Marishov made the cut? Boom, play ad. So, yeah, we'll talk about Keeks real quick, and then we'll come back and talk about Sergei Marishov. What's going on, everybody? Smitty from around the 412 had to take a quick second to tell you about our friends at Keek's Barbershop. That's Keek's Barbershop, 401 Burkage Way, Suite 2 in Beaver, PA. Download the app, The Cut. Book an appointment with Christian today, or you can do a walk-in with Tony or Ashley. Again, download the app, The Cut, to book an appointment today, or they do take walk-ins as well. Could not imagine going anywhere else. Old school vibe in there. Check them out. So, yeah, we did see the debut of Marishov, and wanted your perspective on it, obviously, just like at a glance, you see the numbers, and there's not necessarily anything that like jumps off the page to you. But I thought was largely pretty good in this game, allowed 3 goals on 27 shots. So, I mean, 310 goals against average and a sub 900 save percentage. But I think if you actually watch the game, we talked about how good this defense has largely been. I didn't think they were in this one. For large stretches, I thought the Kings got the better of them. I thought Marishov was fine. Again, I don't think that he was, great by any means and got, could have stole one here, but I thought he was good enough in the defense, and both from the defenseman and the forward group, just the overall team defense, let him down a little bit in this one.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's what I was getting at before the ad. Sorry to kind of steal the thunder of the ad play. But I do think that the play of Marishov was pretty good in this one. I was pleased with him. And interestingly enough, his career starts the same way that Marc-Andre Fleury's did, with a loss to the LA Kings. Now, he did not see 48 shots on goal in this game like Marc-Andre Fleury did in that one. But just a little fun note that Fleury's career started the same way that Marishov's did in his debut. But I thought he looked fine. I don't think that he looked like the moment was too big for him. I did see some overreactions from a lot of Penguins fans, and I think that was probably just because of the way that the outcome of the game went, where they lost the game saying that Marishov wasn't ready. I don't think that's the case. I literally saw people saying that, and I know it has to just be. I know it just has to be because of the outcome, but I thought that he looked fine. I thought he was perfectly capable. Didn't look like the moment was too big for him, and obviously, I feel like probably everybody was wanting or expecting like a shutout in his first game. That was not the case. I feel like that's too high of an expectation to have for a rookie goaltender making his debut. But for what we saw from him, I didn't think that it was necessarily his fault that the Penguins lost this game. I thought that he was good for most of this game and pretty sound in the net. I thought it was a pretty clean game in the net. I'm curious to see how long, and we kind of touched on this last week. Now, I don't think that Marishov is going to be here long term unless something drastic changes with the health of Jari or if something happens to Shilovs. I think that he'll largely spend the majority of this year in the AHL. But I am curious to see how long the injury related to Jari is going to be. Like they make the trip to Sweden, where they play the 2 games against the Predators this weekend. I would expect that he makes that trip and is at least the backup in both of those games. I'm curious to see how they handle those ones, because they aren't back-to-backs, or at least traditional back-to-backs where there's a day in between. So if Shilovs is going to be the goaltender in both of those, or if they treat it like a back-to-back sort of, and play Marishov in one of them. But just looking forward, I'm curious to see how many starts he's actually going to get, what the health of Jari does look like. Not to say that I think that if Jari's out for an extended period of time that Marishov will stay around, but
it's a minimum of 3 weeks.
Right.
So
I'm talking really just like beyond that. Like if it gets beyond that, okay. And more so, I'm just saying this all to put a bow on it. Basically to say, like, I'm curious to see what like development of Marishov is going to be, at least as an NHL goaltender, because we've seen what he's done in junior and in the AHL, and he had a solid start in this one in his NHL debut. But I'm curious to see what that progression is going to be like in the limited time that we may get it. I don't think that it's necessarily going to be something where I say like he needs to stay at the NHL level and Jari get set back down to the AHL like he did last year. But I want to see what that development's going to look like.
Yeah, and this is maybe what you were getting at, but like I feel like we got a pretty good indication when he first came up and wasn't starting that this was more about just like, we need you up here because of an injury. We're not like really trying to get a look at you. That wasn't the intention of this. So it's more so out of necessity than anything else. So yeah, like as a byproduct of that, they're going to see what he has. But I don't think the intention is to get like an extended look here.
No.
So I don't think he's going to play a ton, unfortunately. I mean, would it be different if the team was in a different position? Potentially. You know, if this team came out of the gate the way that we largely expected them to, maybe we're having a different conversation. It's worth giving him a longer look and just saying, hey, if this thing goes up in flames, what does it really matter? I don't think that he would sink the ship, but I'm just wondering if that's a conversation being had, because I think that when he came up and didn't start that first game, and then you saw him only play in the second game of the back-to-back, felt like that was an indication that this is just out of necessity and not really them trying to get a look.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that it'll be curious to see for me how they handle the Sweden series with those games against Nashville.
If Shelovs plays both, I mean, that's
the key indicator. Although they at the end of next week, they do have a back-to-back against the Minnesota Wild and Seattle Kraken. So assuming that he is fine the entire time, you'll probably see him for at least one more game. That would be guaranteed. But I'm curious to see in Sweden this upcoming weekend, and I guess early next week, what this is going to look like for the goaltenders, because they do have that Saturday in between with the schedule and seeing what they look like.
I hate that they play the Friday at 2 p.m. is fine. I'll watch it during work. But Sunday at 9 a.m., I'll be on my way to the Yak already for Steelers Bengals.
The Yak. Yeah. I guess I didn't look ahead of the Steelers schedule for that one.
I mean, it will be over before kickoff, I guess. But yeah, like, I don't know. I just wish it was Friday, Saturday, back to back.
Yeah. I wonder why they are doing it where they have a day in between. Like, I know that's normal NHL scheduling, and you don't traditionally, like, unless you're doing like a home and home, you don't really typically play the same team on back-to-back days. But like for something like this, I don't know, it just seems a little odd.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else we got to work in here? Well, we'll definitely take this break to talk about Shop Yins real quick, but I'm trying to think if there's anything else to even bring up. Yeah, we'll be back. What's going on, everybody? Smitty from Around the 412 had to take a quick second to tell you about our newest sponsor, Shop Yins. A lot of people have been asking me about Around the 412 merch. We got it. Down below is the link, shopyins.com. Save yourself $10 off a minimum purchase of $30, which is basically like you're just buying one t-shirt if you're over there right now. Orders of $75 or more also get free shipping. And while you're over there, don't just check out our Around the 412 stuff. Taylor's got Penguin stuff, Steelers stuff, Pirate stuff, a bunch of good stuff always coming out. Hoodies, I'm actually rocking mine right now. T-shirts, hats, stickers, flags. He's got a bunch of stuff, koozies going on over there right now. Go check all of it out. We appreciate the support that you guys have given us. We appreciate our guy Taylor. Go check it out, shopyins.com. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to bring up. I guess I do want to wish the best to Hollander, by the way. We brought him up earlier, but he's going to miss at least 3 months with a blood clot. It's always scary. I mean, obviously Chris Letang has dealt with them in the past a couple times. Pascal Dupuis as well at the end there. So familiar, unfortunately, as Penguin fans, but all the best to him. Hoping for a full recovery and see him back on the ice here sooner rather than later. But that's wild. Like at least 3 months to see that pop up is always a bit jarring. So all the best to him. Hopefully he can get back on the ice soon. I also wanted to get your thoughts on, I don't know if we ever talked about how you felt like the alternate jerseys look on the ice. They wore them again on last Thursday versus the Caps, so that's what put it in my mind.
I think they're fine. Like if they're going for a yellow jersey, I think that they're fine. But we've seen the yellow jerseys several times now. I thought that if they're going to be doing an alternate jersey, it'd be a little bit different, because we saw the yellow jersey the 2017 in the Stadium Series against the Flyers, and then they kind of used that a few times during that season. And then we saw a yellow jersey a few years ago as an alternate jersey as well. I don't know. I think it's fine. It's a fine looking jersey. I appreciate I've always been a fan of the lace around the neck on a hockey jersey. I think that's a sleek look. So I appreciate that. I think it looks like decent as a third jersey. If I'm being honest with you, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of waiting for another iteration of like a blue jersey. I feel like enough time has passed where we got to like circle back to something like that for an alternate jersey, because once we went away from those, the alternate jersey was our current home jersey right now with the Pittsburgh gold instead of the Vegas gold. And then once the Vegas gold went away, Pittsburgh gold stuck around. We saw the yellow jerseys get introduced eventually for their alternate jerseys. And then you've seen the diagonal Pittsburgh for some of the jerseys as well. I feel like they need to change it up completely for their next one. Like I said, the yellow jersey, I think it's fine. But I would prefer to see either them go back to a blue style of jersey for their next alternate, or send it to Robo Penguin, like full on, and just have like a full on Robo Penguin jersey. I know that a lot of people either love or hate the Robo Penguin jersey. I know Alan is not a fan of it. But I'm not even necessarily saying that I'm like a huge fan of it, but I want something different, because I feel like this yellow jersey, we've seen an iteration of this yellow jersey for the past decade a few times. And I just want something like that is completely different looking than what we've seen, at least for the past decade.
I feel like it was like, hey, let's reach out and see how close we can get to City Connect from MLB on an NHL jersey. I mean, genuinely, it's kind of like they just took the Pirates City Connect and we're like, let's turn this into an NHL jersey. To me, that's what it reminds me of. So, yeah, I think it's fine. But like you, I'd like to see something differently done going forward next time that they unveil one. But just wanted to get your thought. Let's know your thoughts in the comments about anything that we talked about today, including the new jerseys and how you feel about them. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you're listening somewhere else. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review and subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. All of our great sponsors are there that we've talked about, including one that we have not talked about yet. And full transparency, realizing now, totally forgot to play on the Steelers episode. So sorry for that, Boots. We'll make sure to take care of that going forward. But we'll tell you about Marcelo Electric. What's going on, everybody? Smitty from Around the 412 here. Had to take a quick second to tell you about Marcelo Electric, serving Beaver, Allegheny, Lawrence, and Butler County. Whether it's residential, commercial, or service calls, our boy Brandon Marcelo's got you covered. 724-614-0611. Again, that's Marcelo Electric, 724-614-0611. The link below in the description takes you to his Facebook page. All his contact information is there, as well as a lot of the projects that he's been working on. Does great work. Couldn't recommend him enough. Yeah, when I was looking at that and put the logo up, I was like, I don't think that I played that on the Steelers episode.
Yeah.
So
now that you mention it, I was thinking, like, do we have another ad? And then we just kept talking.
Yeah, the description will have all those links down below, as well as Year 8 Rock Around the 412, which there is, by the time you watch or listen to this, a month to get involved at this point to donate to Rock Around the 412. Get yourself involved. If you donate, you'll be eligible to win some prizes. Penguin tickets, something signed by Pat Fryerme, some Game Changer shirts, some Around the 412 merch, all on the line, as well as I'm sure some other stuff that comes along the way as well that we get beforehand. And then obviously the stuff that we've been doing with the East Rochester Salvation Army and the Angel Tree going on as well. We got at least one local family that we're taking care of. If you or somebody that you know going to be in need this holiday season, feel free to reach out. Hopefully we're able to do something for you guys as well. I think that's it. I think I got all our bases covered here. Follow us everywhere at Around the 412. And also you can reach out to us at Around the 412 or on our individuals, Tyler, Weiler Store Teach 33, and myself, Zachary Smith, PGH. Not only to get involved, if you would like to, with Rocking Around the 412, but if you have questions for the podcast, whatever, feel free to reach out to us. If you're a Steelers fan, we'll see you on Saturday, hopefully. For Steelers Saturday, sit down right here on the channel. If you hit that notification bell, you'll know exactly when we go live around 10 a.m. Eastern, and you figure out what time it is in your own time zone. We just realized on the Steelers episode that we recorded, we know of at least 4 different time zones that are actively watching every single week. So, but be sure to hit us up, whether you are a Penguins fan. If you're just a Penguins fan, we'll see you here next week for the Around the 412 Penguin show. And if that's the case, for Tyler, for Smitty, this has been another Around the 412 Penguin show. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.